If you're a student constantly wondering where your money went, even though you swear you didn't spend that much, you're not alone. I used to feel the exact same way until I realized it wasn't about how much I had. It was about what I was doing with it. So let's talk about 5 sneaky money habits that are keeping students broke and how you can finally take back control. Habit 1. Impulse spending. Let's kick things off with one of the biggest financial traps most people fall into, especially when you're in college, and that's impulse spending. You know exactly what I'm talking about. One minute you're chilling, maybe scrolling through Amazon, TikTok, or your favorite clothing site, and the next thing you know, you've added 3 things to your cart that you definitely didn't plan on buying. Or maybe you pass your favorite coffee spot and think, ugh, I deserve a treat today. And suddenly, $7 is gone. Again, these little moments don't seem like a big deal at the time. $8 here, 12 there. But if you add that up over a week or a month, it becomes a real dent in your bank account, especially when you're already on a tight student budget. Impulse spending isn't just about the money, it's about what's behind it. Most of the time, we're spending emotionally. We buy things to feel better, to relieve stress, to celebrate, or even just because we're bored. It's not about needing something, it's about chasing that quick hit of dopamine. And companies are counting on that. Everything from limited time offers to one-click checkout is designed to make you buy without thinking. Here's the problem. Impulse purchases don't usually make you happier in the long run. They just give you a temporary high, followed by buyer's remorse when you check your balance later and realize you blew through way more than you meant to. So what can you actually do about it? One of the most effective strategies I've ever used is called the 24-hour rule. It's simple. If you see something you want to buy that isn't a necessity, don't buy it right away. Instead, save it in your notes or add it to a wish list, and then wait 24 hours. Just one day. If you still want it the next day and it fits within your budget, awesome, buy it. But what you'll notice is that most of the time, that urge fades away. You'll realize it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing, and you won't even miss it. Another tip that helps? Give yourself a small, fun money budget every month, even if it's just $30 or $50. That way, you've already planned for little splurges, and you can enjoy them guilt-free without dipping into money meant for rent, books, or bills. Also, cut down on the temptation. Unsubscribe from those promo emails that flood your inbox with 15% off deals every day. Mute or unfollow accounts that constantly push products and make you feel like you need to buy something to keep up. The less you're exposed to those triggers, the less likely you are to spend without thinking. The goal isn't to never buy anything fun again. It's to spend with intention. When you're mindful of your spending habits, you stay in control. And that sense of control, that's way more rewarding than the 5-minute high from an impulse buy. So the next time you're tempted to grab something just because, pause. Ask yourself, do I really want this? Or am I just reacting to a mood or a moment? That pause could save you hundreds or even thousands over time. Habit 2. Not tracking your spending. Let's talk about something super simple, but honestly, kind of life-changing once you get it right. And that's not tracking your spending. Most people think they have a general idea of where their money goes. You might say, yeah, I mostly spend on food, maybe some clothes, not much else. But the truth is, if you're not actually tracking it, you have no idea. It's kind of like trying to lose weight without ever looking at what you eat. You think you're doing okay until the results don't match up. I used to be the same. I'd just keep swiping my card, assuming I still had enough in my account. But the moment I started tracking every single dollar, literally writing it down or logging it in an app, it was like someone turned on the lights. I was spending way more than I thought, especially on little things that didn't seem like a big deal at the time. The $9 takeout, the $4 energy drink, the $15 random Target run. It all adds up fast. And once you actually see the numbers, you start to realize where your money is going and where you want it to go instead. So how do you start tracking? You don't need to do anything fancy. Seriously, there are 3 easy ways. 1. Use a budgeting app. Apps like Mint, YNAB, You Need a Budget, or even your bank's own app can automatically categorize your spending and show you exactly what's happening with your money. 2. Use a notes app or spreadsheet. Just make a quick note every time you spend something. Write down the amount and what it was for. You don't need to track forever, but doing it for just 1 month can give you so much clarity. 3. The envelope method. Yes, even digitally. Create digital envelopes or categories for your spending, like groceries, entertainment, eating out, and so on. When your limit is up, you stop spending in that category until next month. It sounds old school, but it works. The key here isn't perfection, it's awareness. When you know where your money is going, you can make better choices without even thinking about it. Like maybe you'll decide to cook at home 1 extra night a week or cancel that subscription you forgot you had. Also, tracking your spending builds momentum. It turns money into something you're managing, not just reacting to. And once you get into that habit, it becomes kind of addictive, in a good way. You'll start looking forward to checking your numbers, seeing how much you saved, or finding little ways to do better than last month. And here's the best part. When you're tracking your money, you're also training your brain to think like someone who's financially smart. That mindset shift is what builds long-term confidence with money, not how much you earn. So if you've never tracked your spending before, challenge yourself. Do it for the next 30 days. Write down every dollar that leaves your account. Just 1 month. You will learn so much about your habits. And it might be the wake-up call that sets you on a completely different path. Because once you see where your money's going, you can finally start telling it where to go. Habit number 3. Relying on credit cards for daily expenses. Let's move on to something that feels harmless at first, but can quietly build up into a major problem over time. Relying on credit cards to cover everyday expenses. Now, don't get me wrong, credit cards aren't evil. They can actually be really useful when used the right way. They help you build credit, they come with rewards, and sometimes they can get you out of a tight spot. But here's where it gets tricky. When your credit card becomes your go-to for groceries, gas, coffee, or takeout, not because it earns you points, but because you don't have enough in your checking account. That's when it turns into a trap. You swipe your card to cover dinner because payday is next week. You put groceries on credit because rent just came out of your account. And it feels like no big deal because you're like, I'll pay it off later. But then next week rolls around, and there's a new expense. So you make the minimum payment, and the cycle repeats. This is how debt builds quietly. It doesn't start with a big, reckless purchase. It starts with a bunch of small ones that seem necessary in the moment. Before you know it, you're staring at a balance that's way higher than you expected, plus interest that keeps growing every month. And here's the worst part. Once you get used to living off credit, it feels normal. Swiping becomes automatic. But what's really happening is you're borrowing from your future self and charging them extra. So how do you break this habit? First, get real with your numbers. Log into your credit card account and look at your past 3 months of statements. How much did you put on credit, and how much of it was for daily stuff, like food, gas, or random purchases? That number might surprise you. Second, if you're using credit cards because your income isn't covering your expenses, it's time to build a small buffer. I'm not saying you need a massive emergency fund right away, but even having $100 to $200 in a separate savings account can help cover small daily costs without reaching for your card. Third, try switching to debit-only mode for 1 month. Seriously, put your credit card in a drawer or take it out of your digital wallet. Force yourself to spend only what you physically have in your checking account. It'll be uncomfortable at first, but that's kind of the point. It helps you reset and get back in touch with your real spending limits. If you still want to use credit cards for the perks, cool. Just make sure you're paying the full balance off every single month. The rewards aren't worth it if you're getting hit with 20% interest. Lastly, try shifting your mindset. Instead of thinking of your credit card as a safety net, think of it like a temporary tool, not a financial crutch. You're not weak for needing help, but your long-term peace of mind is worth more than short-term convenience. So if your credit card has become your backup wallet, your emergency fund, or your daily driver, it's time to make a change. You don't have to cut it out completely, But you do have to take back control before it controls you. The goal is to make credit work for you, not let it run the show. Habit number 4, ignoring student loans. All right, let's talk about something that most students and recent grads really don't want to think about: student loans. Trust me, I get it. Student loans can feel overwhelming, confusing, and just depressing. It's one of those things you want to pretend doesn't exist, at least for now. You might be thinking, I'll deal with it after graduation, or once I start making more money, I'll figure it out. But here's the thing. Ignoring your student loans doesn't make them go away. It just gives them time to grow quietly in the background, especially if interest is piling up. Even when payments are paused or you're still in school, that interest doesn't always pause with you. And before you know it, your balance is bigger than what you originally borrowed. The longer you avoid looking at them, the scarier they feel. But the minute you face them head on, they start to lose that power over you. So here's how you take control. Step 1. Know what you owe. Log into your student loan accounts and look at the full picture. How much do you owe in total? What kind of loans do you have, federal or private? What are the interest rates? What's the repayment plan? Even if you don't start paying anything today, just knowing your numbers gives you power. You can't make a game plan if you don't know what field you're playing on. Step 2. Start planning early, even before repayment kicks in. If you're still in school or in a grace period, this is the perfect time to get ahead. Even just paying a small amount, like $20 or $30 a month, can help knock down interest before it capitalizes. That tiny effort can save you hundreds down the road. Step 3. Explore your repayment options. If you have federal loans, you're not stuck with one giant monthly payment. There are income-driven repayment plans, forgiveness programs, deferment options, and more. A lot of people think, I'll never be able to afford it, but they don't realize there are plans that adjust to your income, sometimes as low as $0 a month. But again, you won't know unless you look into it. Step 4. Make a micro goal. Instead of thinking, I have to pay off $30,000, set a small goal like, I'll pay $10 extra on interest each month. I'll try to pay off one full loan this year. I'll put any extra side hustle income toward this. Small steps equals real momentum. That's how people actually pay these things off. And finally, change how you view your loans. Yes, they're a burden, but they're also a responsibility. You borrowed money to invest in your future. Now, it's time to take ownership of that decision, not with shame, but with a strategy. You are not the only person with student debt, and you're not behind. You're just ahead of the game by choosing to face it now, rather than 5 years from now when it's grown even bigger. So don't let fear or procrastination hold you back. Open the emails. Log into the accounts. Ask the questions. Make the plan. Because when you stop avoiding your student loans, you start owning your financial future. Habit number 5. Not having a budget. Now, before you roll your eyes or skip ahead, I promise, budgeting is not about being strict or boring or telling yourself no all the time. In fact, a good budget does the exact opposite. It gives you freedom. It gives you peace of mind. And most importantly, it gives you control. But here's what most people do. They try to wing it. They kind of know when rent is due, kind of know how much they're spending on food, and kind of assume it'll all work out if they don't go too crazy. Spoiler alert, it usually doesn't. When you don't have a budget, your money ends up managing you. You're reacting instead of planning. You get hit with surprise expenses, overdraft fees, missed payments, and that constant low-level stress of, do I have enough in my account right now? Budgeting fixes all of that. So let's break it down and make it simple. A budget is just a plan for how you're going to spend your money each month. That's it. You're telling every dollar where to go, instead of wondering where it went. Here's how to start. Step 1. Know your income. How much money is coming in every month? That's your starting point. Whether it's a paycheck, part-time job, side hustle, financial aid, whatever it is, write it down. Step 2. List your fixed expenses. These are the things you have to pay. Rent, utilities, phone bill, subscriptions, minimum loan payments. Total them up. Step 3. Track your variable spending. This is where a lot of your money leaks out. Food, transportation, clothes, entertainment, random spending. Go back through your last month's bank statement and see where your money actually went. Be honest. Step 4. Create categories and set limits. Now that you've seen where your money goes, break it into categories and give yourself spending limits for each one. Be realistic. If you normally spend $250 on food, don't suddenly try to cut it to $50. Ease into it. Step 5. Check in regularly. A budget only works if you actually look at it. Set a weekly check-in, even just 10 minutes, to see where you're at. Are you sticking to the plan? Do you need to adjust? That weekly check-in keeps you from going way off track without realizing it. And remember, your budget doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to shift month to month. The goal isn't to control every penny. It's to make sure your spending lines up with your goals. Because here's the truth. Without a budget, your money will disappear. But with a budget, you can actually make progress, even if you don't make a lot of money yet. It helps you save. It helps you avoid debt. And it gives you the confidence that you can afford the things you need and the things you want, without guessing or hoping. So if you've been avoiding budgeting because it sounds too hard or too stressful, start small. Write it out in your Notes app. Use a simple spreadsheet. Try a budgeting app that does the math for you. Once you see how much peace of mind it gives you, you'll never want to go back to winging it. And that's a wrap. These habits might seem small, but breaking them can completely change your financial future. If one stood out to you, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're working on. And if this helped you out, give it a like, hit subscribe, and stick around. There's more coming to help you take control of your money, one habit at a time. You've got this. See you in the next one.